Okay, Mr. Coker, go ahead. Go ahead, Mr. Coker. Mohammed? Okay, he does not seem to be with us.
Yes, I'm getting you. Are you
Yeah,
getting me
you
now?
have some background noise. You have some background noise. You have people with you there?
Yes, I am actually I'm actually in school, so it's noisy here.
Oh, okay, okay,
But are you
okay.
getting me now?
Yeah, yeah, go ahead. Go ahead,
Okay,
Mohammed.
I was asking.
Mm-hmm.
I was asking like the smoke that comes out from cigarettes.
Mm-hmm.
Can you call it carbon monoxide? That's my question.
Yes, it has carbon. Yes, it has serious carbon. It has carbon monoxide. Yes, it has. This is
Okay,
why.
okay, okay.
This is why second-class smoking is worse than first-class smoking. Don't get close to someone who is smoking. Don't try to inhale the smoke. Very, very bad. It has CO2. Okay? So smoking is really, really dangerous. And second class smoke. People have got cancer and other terrible diseases as a result of second class smoking. Okay? Okay, so let's move. Let's move. I'm really happy that we are enjoying this class. As far as I'm concerned, I'll call it the most important topic in the whole of my MA3 syllabus, because the others find you'll be able to know how to crunch numbers and definitions and so. But this is telling you about life that is very, very, very much relevant to your life. So it's really, really important. Okay, so the reasons why we manage our environmental costs. The second one is, of course, environmental costs are becoming more and more expensive. Okay? Particularly to those operating in highly industrialized sectors like the oil production. Okay? I don't know whether you are aware of the fine in millions of US dollars that they made on, I think it was BP, because of oil littering in I forgot the name of the country, but they suffered from huge fines as a result of littering
I
oil
think it's in Nigeria. Nigeria.
in Nigeria. Exactly, exactly.
Yes, they also. I think it was in 2011.
Yes, exactly, exactly. So this is it. So that company is going to suffer
And
a
also,
lot.
Governor,
Yes. Yeah, go ahead.
BP, they had another one at the Gulf of Mexico.
At the
In the
Gulf of
United
Mexico,
States.
exactly.
They
I
have
remember that one
they
was a
had
couple of
a
years
oil
ago.
spill
Yes,
there also. What
oil spillage, exactly, exactly.
was
We
it
killed
2010? Yes,
a lot of
yes.
a lot of fish, a lot of marine products and stuff like that. Yes, so they find them heavily. Okay, they find them heavily. Okay, and there's another example of a plant hire company called John Caxford Plant Hire, which was fined, to approximately 85,000. But they also got 1.2 of its assets seized. They seized their assets worth of 1.2 million. Okay, they got a fine of 85,000 pounds as a result of not managing their environment. Okay? So it's really, really important. It's just that it's unfortunate. They've not started charging companies in this country for mismanaging the environment. Because I remember there were issues, before, but then nothing happened. Like there was an incident in Sankunsila soap manufacturing a couple of years ago, whereby I think 2 or 3 people lost their lives. Okay, all because of poor environmental management, working environmental management. Okay, I don't know whether you are aware of
Yeah.
that. This is a couple of years ago.
Yes, we are aware.
Yeah, in fact, one of them who died happened to come from my village. Well, like, very sad, very sad. They compensated, Gambia, this, maslaha thing, they compensated with little money. Very sad.
And also, what happened to that fish meal factory in Gonjo?
There you go. It's a typical example, yes. Yes. And also, I think there was recently, last year or so, whereby, there was a Chinese company in the middle of the Brikawa Nyamai forest. They were, I think, burning these tires in the name of making crude oil or whatever they call it. I don't even know what happened to them. I just don't know. It was in the social media for some time. I did not hear it again. I don't know whether they were taken to court or whatever. I just don't know. But we definitely need to, be careful.
But that is very serious, burning tires.
Very, very serious, yes. Very, very serious. It was polluting the area big time. Okay. Right. So let's look at some of the environmental costs and then how we're going to manage them. We have conventional costs. Okay. These are things like material waste, electricity, and fuel costs. Okay. Potential hidden costs. These are costs, of course, that you cannot easily find them. Okay. But they are captured as part of our accounting system. Things like depreciation on machines. Depreciation is a cost. So if you have a machine that emits CO2, so the depreciation on that machine, is that not going to be an environmental cost? Of course, yes. Are you getting me right?
Yes, of course.
Okay, so there are some environmental costs that are potentially hidden. Example, depreciation on machines that emit CO2. Depreciation on vehicles. Exactly, depreciation on vehicles. Depreciation on plants, manufacturing plants. So those depreciations are what? They are management costs. Sorry, they are environmental costs. Okay? Of course, contingent costs, costs that may happen in the future. Like a typical example is the Pura Nawek case. So if Pura has taken Nawek to court, there will be a potential contingent cost, legal fees. Okay? And of course, if Pura asks Nawek to clean those areas that are polluted, cleaning those costs are contingent costs. Okay, so, and of course, there is one big one again, image and relationship costs. Okay, that has to do with the goodwill of the organization. They're going to have what? Bad goodwill. You know about goodwill? Goodwill? The 2 + 2 = 5 effect. You could have a negative goodwill as well. Okay, you could have a positive goodwill and a negative goodwill. You know about goodwill, yeah?
Yes.
We do.
The 2 = 5 effect. Yeah? Goodwill is, of course, when there is goodwill in your organization, that means the sum of all the assets less liabilities, your organization is bigger than those sum. Okay, as a result of goodwill. So you could have a negative goodwill as a result of bad publicity. Okay, we are talking about that company in Nigeria. Okay, they will be fine, but then they will have bad publicity. So if somebody wants to acquire that company, even though it might have huge, asset prices and so on and so forth, the value might be lower than that because they have a bad reputation, bad publicity, bad goodwill. Okay, is that clear? Okay, so we're going to look at the techniques of how to identify environmental costs. As accountants, because some of them we might not be directly involved when those costs happen. Okay, so naturally, our first target will be to look at our general ledger. We know our general ledger? Our general ledger is where everything goes. We have our sales ledger, where we record all sales and credit. We have our purchases
Hello,
ledger.
Mr. Hogan. Hello.
We have our
Mr. Hogan.
and everything ends up in a general ledger. Yes.
Yes. talking about depreciation, I think there is more of life cycle costing than environmental costing. Depreciation and
Depreciation?
machine.
No, depreciation in machine, of course, is an environmental cost. Depreciation itself is a notional cost, isn't it? It's a cost that kind of don't exist. Okay? But it is a cost because we want to put aside, okay, some money in case the assets, in case the asset expires. Okay? So we all know, of course, how depreciation is calculated and reported in our financial statements. Okay, so it's the same concept here. If you charge depreciation as a cost, depreciation is always on a tangible non-current asset. So if the tangible non-current asset is an asset that has got some element of environmental cost, like if it is a vehicle, motor vehicle, of course, motor vehicle emits CO2, okay, pollution. So any depreciation relating to motor vehicle will be considered as an environmental cost. Is that clear? Okay, so, right, good. So this is the way we identify our environmental cost. Okay, sometimes it might be difficult, but then we have to mainly refer to our general ledger. We look at some of the costs that are there that can relate to environment. A typical example could be if there is a cost on electricity. Okay, if there is a cost on electricity, you will generally know that this has to do with an environment. So it will be an environmental cost. Okay, so now how do we control environmental costs? We've discussed some of them. The first one is waste. How do we control waste? So many ways of controlling waste. The starting point is we should not allow waste to occur. Even if it occurs, we should try to minimize it. That's the starting point. Okay, and if we have plenty of waste, we should try to recycle our waste as much as possible. Even the ones that are dangerous waste, like food waste and stuff, chemical waste, we could turn them into, fertilizer, into chemical, and so on and so forth. Okay, so controlling waste. The bottom line is we try to make sure we don't have much waste in the first place. So second is water. Okay, this is a big problem in this country. Okay, it's a big problem in the Gambia. People don't care about water. Hardly you go into any compound in this country without having leaking pipes, leaking taps, and so on and so forth. Poor, plumbing work. Okay, hardly. So you'll have too much waste in water. And what we don't understand, if you have wastage in water, you pay for it twice. One, your water bill will go up. Two, your sewage bill will be very high. The thing that goes in your septic tank, majority of it is water. So if you don't manage your water properly, you're going to pay for it twice. Do you know that? Do you know that? You don't manage water properly, you are going to pay for it twice. Mariatu, you want to talk? Mariatu Fainke, your hand is up. Mariatu? Or maybe she has done it without realizing it. Okay. Okay, we're going to move. We're going to move. Right. So let's be careful with water. Okay, energy. Another problem. Go round now. It's daylight. Go round. In a lot of compounds, you'll see their lights still on. They will not detect it. their lights will still be on. Go to offices. Some people will leave their offices with the lights on, and wallahi, they will not even stop at only the lights on. Even their ACs will be left on. People don't care in this country. It's so sad. Even their ACs will be left on. And ACs consume a lot of electricity. That's why I envy Mohammed Jah, the CEO of Q Group. I remember one day I went with my kids to Q City. I watched Mohammed. He was there that day, and the guys who works at the TV, the QTV, they were closing at the time. You know, he was asking them, "Do you switch the lights off? Do you switch the fan on? Do you switch the AC on?" I really like that aspect. The thing is, someone will wonder, why should he ask them? What? I mean, it's very typical of Gambians. If he doesn't ask them to make sure that energy is not wasted, it's going to end up with him. He's going to pay for it. He's the owner of the business. So I think we should all be like, my boss here at SDF, he's also very good at that. He makes sure, he's usually the last person to leave here. He makes sure he checks all lights, he checks the toilet, whether the taps are not running and stuff like that before he goes. This is what we should all do. We should not allow ourselves to pay for monies that are not supposed to pay. No wonder a lot of people are having issues with NAMEC. They'll go to NAMEC and say, my bill is too high. Okay, sometimes you can blame NAMEC, but most of the time we blame ourselves because we don't check whether our plumbing work is proper, whether we don't have leaking pipes, whether, so like that. And for the cash power, Mom, it's as you go. So if you play with it, now you don't have to send any bill. If you can't pay for it, you don't have any light. Simple. Yes, someone wants to.
Yes,
yes. Yes, go on, family. Are you fighting there? Okay, Ablai Boyan, your hands is up. Your hand is up.
I just want to add to what you have just said. It's by my experience when I was working at Safe Power. And sometimes when you visit the toilet, you open the tap, there is no water. Instead of you turning it off, you leave it there like that. So there was a day there was no water the whole day until the staff closed. So in the morning when we came in, even the manager himself couldn't enter his office. Everywhere, and the tap was on top, upstairs, but everywhere was filled with water.
Wow, look at that.
So I mean, when the water came, when everyone has gone home, the taps are open. The water has dropped, continuously.
Wow, that was terrible. So that could in fact flood the office, and destroy a lot of variables in the office.
That's what happens. For manager to enter his office now, they have to put some objects for him to step on them and.
Look at that. Look at that. Just because of few people. Can you imagine that? Little things can cause you things that you will regret for the rest of your life. Little things. Can you imagine? Just to close tap is less than 30 seconds. Closing a tap, less than 30 seconds. Maria, to your hand is up. I'm asking and you're not responding. Do you still want to talk, or you don't realize that your hand is up? Mariatu? Okay, let's move. So please, let's take note of this. These are little things, and somebody will be wondering, who is Mr. Fofana to tell us to switch our energy? But look, this is very, very, very important for you. Okay? Especially with energy. You are not only saving cost, but you are also saving the environment. Can you imagine leaving the AC on the whole night, the whole day? Your bill is going to be very high. And again, the amount of CO2 that will be emitted will be, plenty. Anyway, so transport and travel. So we've spoken about that. Don't travel if you don't have to travel, especially those, that are business tycoons. Aeroplanes, they emit a lot of CO2. So if you are a businessman who travels a lot by flying, try to, minimize your travel. And this day and age, there are a lot of things that you don't even have to travel. Some people travel because they want to attend meetings. Now, with the help of internet, you could be in your house and attend meetings. Okay? You don't have to travel to work, every day. Sometimes you have to work from home. Okay, I remember when I used to work at Vodafone in the UK, there are some days when we will stay at home, we work from home. It's very, very good for the environment, okay, and it's cost effective, okay. How to call it? Who gave me a promise that she will not use transport all the time? Was it Hadi? Hadi promised me that she's not going to use transport all the time. If there are short distances, she will just walk. So we could do the same thing, man. We could do the same thing. We save energy, okay. In this country, the problem that we have is the working class. Most of them, if they are kind of well off, they'll want to buy a car. Well, sometimes you cannot blame them because public transport is a problem. So as a country, we need to improve on our public transport system. If we have that, it's going to have a lot of benefits. One, there will be a reduction in traffic, and two, there will be fewer cars on the roads because public buses or whatever take a lot of people, so there will be fewer cars in the road, and of course there will be lower levels of CO2 emissions. Okay? So it's really important. Okay, so consumables and materials, especially at the office, let's minimize using them. Don't waste paper. If you use envelopes at the office, like you receive letters from other institutions, don't throw the envelope. And some people, what they'll do, they'll just tear the envelope off and put it in the bin. That's very bad. Keep the envelope. Keep the envelope and recycle it. I'll give you a typical example.
It's 17 hours.
Look at this. This is an envelope that I have. I think I received it from people, and I'm using it again. Look at this one also. Okay? Look at this one also. So I have lots and lots of envelopes and papers that I recycle. Okay? I reuse them. Okay? It's really important because if I tear this off, I put it in the bin, it's thrown into the atmosphere, it becomes waste. It can disturb other people. It can even destroy other people's lives. So please let us be environmental friendly. So if we have toners and cartridges, rather than buying new ones every time, try to refill them. Some of these cartridges, you can refill them now. Okay, you can refill them. So it's really, really, really important. Okay. So it's 5 o'clock. 27. Let's just take 10 minutes and finish this, and we'll be left with only the how do you call it? We'll be left with only the CO2 trading. Okay, the carbon trading. Okay, so just 5-10 minutes, we are done. Please bear with me. Okay, so accounting for environmental costs. The first method is input-output flow analysis. Input and outflow analysis. Right, so this is a very, very, very important technique. If we have to account for environmental costs, we must have a way of measuring those costs. Because if we cannot measure them, then we will not be able to put a value to them. And if we cannot put value to them, then naturally we won't be able to report on them. They will not be able to appear on our financial statement. Okay, so one of the methods in which we could use to account for environmental costs is the input outflow analysis. Okay? So what that means is, in terms of materials, if you use 100 kilos of material to produce, for example, let's say in a newspaper company, you have 100 kilo of paper that you input to produce, let's say, newspapers. Okay, what you may end up getting in terms of real newspapers may be 80 kilos of newspapers. Okay, so what happens to the 20 kilos? Does it mean all the 20 kilos will be waste, class? The remaining 20 kilos, it will all be waste. Some of it could be used, okay? Some of the scrap papers could be used to be sold to the women who sell this, women petty traders who sell food. Okay, so maybe 10% of the remaining 20 kilos could be used for scraps, could be sold for scrap. You could sell those papers, those scrap papers, to women who sell food, or to shopkeepers who wrap, stuff in there. Okay, and the remaining 90% of the 20 kilos may be the one that will be used for waste. So is that 90% of the 20 kilo that you're going to use to record in your financial statement? Is this clear? Is this clear, class?
Yes.
Okay, so that is the input outflow analysis. Okay, very, very important. The second method works very similar to the first method. That's the flow cost accounting. Okay, the only difference is this technique uses not only the material flows, okay, the input outflow uses the material as its basis, but the flow cost accounting uses both the materials and also the organizational structure and procedures. Okay, so it makes material flows transparent by looking at physical quantities involved, their costs and their value. It divides the material flows into three categories: material, system, and delivery and disposal. So the values and costs of each of these three flows are then calculated. So it kind of breaks them further into not only the material component, but also into its system and delivery, like that. So it's an improvement on the first method. Okay, so the third method is the ABC. Of course, we know activity-based costing, and this was the example we looked at in the gym team. Okay, so ABC could be used in in accounting for environmental cost by, of course, looking at the environmental cost and then try to ascertain what will be the cost driver of that environmental cost. And of course, you can use that cost driver to calculate the cost driver rate and then do your ABC, just like we've studied ABC. So our environmental cost in a gym scenario will be what? The energy cost that will be used to operate our washing machines. Okay, so ABC can be used. Of course, we will use our number of washings, just like I've explained, as our cost driver. We can calculate our cost driver rate, and then we'll be able to determine our environmental cost, of course, by various product lines. Okay. Then we have our last but not the least is our life cycle costing. So the life cycle costing is the same life cycle costing we have learned. Okay. So life cycle costing will be used. Okay. So this will be analyzing the cost of the product or the service or the department from its initiation to abandonment. Okay, just like we've seen when we are doing our life cycle costing. By analyzing the cost in this way, we will try to ascertain which of the costs relates to the environment, okay, and we break it and we report it and value it. We value it and break it. So we break it, value it, and report it accordingly. Okay, so that's what the life cycle costing mean in our EMA. Okay, so I think we can stop here. Next class, we will do the emission trading first, and then we will proceed to accounting for short-term decision. Okay, I think this is a good point to stop because I don't want to disadvantage the others that are going to have class at 5. Is that okay? Yes.
By next class, we will already be in exam. So how are you going to handle that?
When those exams start?
Thursday, on the 1st.
Next week, Thursday.
Yes.
Okay, wow. Karamo, is that the case?
Yes, 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 that is the case. Exam final timetable start from on the 1st.
Okay, so it starts on what? On 1st July, yeah?
Yes,
Yes,
and then
yes.
end on the 16th.
It ends on the 16th.
Yes.
16th July. Okay, let me just do a quick one. 1st July and ends on the 16th July. 16th July is on a Friday. Okay, right. Okay, so what we will do is we will suspend the class. I always do that. We will suspend the class until the 23rd of July. Okay, we will suspend the class and resume on the 23rd of July. Karango, can you communicate this to the forum, to everybody? So when we come back on the 23rd of July, we are going to arrange a lot of makeup classes, okay? So that hopefully by first week of August, we can finish everything and do our exams before mid of August. Is that okay?
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, that's okay.
Good. Good. Yes.
One more thing.
Okay, that's all.
I also observed that on the 23rd, right?
Yes, 23rd July.
That will be 2 or 3 days after Tobaski, if I'm not forgetting.
2 or 3 days after Tobaski. But that's not bad. This will be online.
Okay, no
Yeah,
problem.
that's not bad. That's not bad, definitely.
That's not bad. This will be online. So you can even do it from your house comfortably, happily, when you still have some of your meat. That's all. That's not a problem now. I think yes, Tobaski will be around.
I think some people there are going for Tobaski. I'm not
Yeah,
going anywhere, but I know some people
if you have gone for Tobaski, you know, anywhere you go in this country, you have internet. It's not an in-person class. Me, when I go to the village,
I used to in
sorry?
Jara, there's a very good connection there. I said I used to in Jara, there's a very good internet connection.
So I think you don't seem to have much knowledge about Jara. You know, we had electricity since 1978. Electricity and pipe-borne water were light since 1978. You are joking. Ask Cham and about Jara, they'll tell you.
I know you have it at one village, and for the next 40 years, the rest do not have, right?
No, not one village, not one village. In our area, in the part of Jara I live, that is Masakonko, Jara Soma, Pakalindi, Kanikunda, Sankpia, and Karantaba. That's what we call the Jaduma ward. We had electricity and power-borne water since 1970. Ask anybody. If you have an elder brother or a dad, ask them about Jara. They will tell you. We are advanced there. So, in fact, when I go to the village,
okay, no problem.
I have a better internet connectivity than when I'm in Combos, especially with Africa.
Okay.
Yeah, and I know because I mean, this country there's no corner that I've not been to. I trek a lot. When I go on trek, I usually send reports while I'm in the field. So most of the places in this country have got good internet connectivity, especially with AfroCell. AfroCell, their internet data connection is really good. Yeah, so let's be because I don't want us to drag this, classes. I want us to finish so that we take our exams and we go our way. Okay. Is that okay, everybody? So, Karamo, please inform the rest of the class about it. We break today because of exam. We break from today because of exams, and we resume on the 23rd July, inshallah. Okay?
All right, thank you. I will do some.
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you.
Oh.
Sunny.
Okay, fine. Okay, have a good break, and I wish you all the best in your exams.
Have a nice talk.